everyone, welcome to this interview episode of the Electronic Cafe. Mark and I have just had the absolute pleasure to speak to the legend that is Steve Hovington from B-Movie. An amazing story that you'll see in this chat. Mark, I mean, again, I'm going speechless again. Such a lovely guy, and you meet people that we've admired and idolised for years. It's just amazing how he's so down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, B-Movie were one of those great bands back in the early 80s that didn't get the recognition they deserved, like so many bands. I mean, headlines were stolen by the Soft Cells and the Spandau Ballets and the Duran Durans, but there were so many great bands around at the time. And it was great to hear Steve's story. I mean, we love B-Movie's music, and just hearing about the scene back in the day and how all the pieces fell together or didn't fall together. And finally, B-Movie released the album that they should have released back in 1983.
Yeah, and as our viewers will see when they get to this episode, there's a nice under the hood moment that I think will be a great bit of insight for our viewers, which was brilliantly orchestrated by Steve.
So, should we let everybody see the chat we've just had?
Be a splendid idea, my friend.
Good stuff. Everybody, Steve Hovington, B-Movie on the Electronic Cafe.
You form a big part of Mark and I's musical tapestry, so big, massive fans of B-Movie, so really appreciate it.
Bayer Tapestry. What's that old?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're near Mark old. Everyone, welcome to this fabulous interview edition of the Electronic Cafe, and we are so delighted and damn excited to welcome B-Movie legend Steve Hovington to the Electronic Cafe. Steve, mate, thank you so much for joining us today. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, pleasure, Andy. Thanks for having me.
Steve, it's great to have you on the Electronic Cafe. I mean, we loved you guys back in the day, and we heard the news a couple of weeks ago that you have an album coming out called Hidden Treasures, which is the album that never came out back in the day, remastered from the original tapes and full of all the brilliant songs. It's
our debut album coming out 44 years too late, but that's essentially better late than never. It's been a long journey, a long story, really. Tracking down these tapes. We knew they existed, the recordings. It sort of over time, he started to think it would never happen. But Andy Woods, who's a long time, friend of the band, and he looks after us these days. It was almost like his life's mission to track these recordings down, and we eventually, it was about finding people who were able to help us. The tracks sort of seemed to have been passed on from pillar to post from different record companies, record labels here, there and everywhere. We never could find anybody to talk to who could give us a decision on whether we could, we could have them or we could buy them even. I mean, so it was a long saga. Yeah, B-Movie's career has obviously spanned all the different formats, vinyl, CDs, digital downloads, and the whole works. And like Nowhere Girls, it's got a few million streams, for instance, on Spotify, but it's not like that classic version that we did on Some Bizzare. So it's like, whenever anybody says, what's your most famous song? I know, God. Then you listen to it, and it's not the right version. I mean, that's been the thing that's been bugging me for years. Yeah. Eventually, we found someone who was easy to work with, and we got we just basically got the deal done, and yeah, we got all the master tapes back, and then there was the task of repairing them, remixing them, remastering them, and that's where Roger Lyons came in. So it's great. It is great. It feels like part of your past has been regained. You've kind of like, almost rediscovered a bit of yourself. Almost weirdly, it's like I'd kind of forgotten some of the songs. But there you go. Yeah, if they're now back, and they're back and restored and shiny and ready to go.
Here we go now. 1, 2, 3. Here we go now. Children of
Going right back to, I mean, you guys formed way back in '79 in Mansfield. How did it all come together? How did B-Movie become a thing?
Yeah. It's actually, I think it might have even been '78. Not that it matters a great deal. It's still a long time ago. But yeah, I was into music, and not particularly musical, but I was into music at school at the Manor Comprehensive in Mansfield Woodhouse in Nottinghamshire. I knew Paul Statham. He was one of the lads at school. Our paths didn't cross a lot, actually, but we kind of bonded when we were in the sixth form, listening to, we had an old record player. We used to play punk records and stuff like that. And, I knew he was in a band. He was in a band called The Aborted, which was a Mansfield's, but there were 2 punk bands in Mansfield. That was one of them. And the other one was called Alleyway Art. But I saw them both. They played a gig in a punk gig in a place called a Tudor Barn, which is normally you get sort of buffet lunches for I don't know, sort of scouts or something. But anyway, it was a punk gig. They were just punk, really, basically, new wave, bit rough. I was more into I was into Ultravox at that time, early Ultravox and stuff. I turned up at the gig in a ripped blazer like John Fox on the back of the first album, and I Want to Be a Machine written on a white shirt. And I harbored this dream of being in a band, but I didn't know what I could do. I thought I could just about manage bass because it was only 4 strings, and I think that might be where I might end up with. And anyway, they played. I remember Paul collapsed halfway through the 3rd number on stage. It was quite, the set didn't last very long, and then I kind of lost touch a bit. Really, he left school, and I lost touch with him. And then, there was one, I think, end of school term party, and he turned up, and he turned up there, and he came up to me. I remember he was wearing his like plastic sandals and spiky hair, and said to me, do you want to be in the band? Do you want to be in the band? And I thought, what, what, The Aborted? I mean, I'm kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's he said the bass players kind of fell off the stage and injured his back, and he can't continue. So looking for a bass player. Do you want to come to rehearsal? I was kind of a bit taken aback, to be honest. Anyway, I thought about it, and I went down there. Graham Boffey was on drums. He was a mate of Paul's. He was also from the same school, but I didn't know him that well. And we just started jamming together. I managed to borrow a bass guitar off my sister's boyfriend. He was in a heavy metal covers band, and he showed me a couple of chords on the bass. How to play. So I just started playing, and but literally we started from scratch without any ability. Well, I didn't have any ability whatsoever. And halfway through the rehearsal, Paul just came up to me and And I said, when's Pete coming? Because Pete was the singer. I says, oh, Pete's left as well. So here's the mic, just try and sing something into the microphone.
And learn the bass at the same time.
And play the bass at the same time. He said, don't worry, none of us can sing. Just give it a go. So I did. We just played this repetitive riff over again, and I just sort of shouted frustration a few times. I can remember into the mic. And kind of that was it, really. That was the start of it. We just after it was a racket. It was just. I mean, no way on planet Earth was just we were going to go anywhere sounding like that.
In the forest, in the snow, all those many years ago.
We did actually decide to rehearse again a couple of weeks later at the Dog and Rabbit pub in Warsop, and that's kind of things just started to develop a bit from there.
It's a job you started singing because you got quite a distinctive voice as well. I mean, on the B Movie record.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. I think it was accidental, really. Quite a lot of things that happened to B Movie were accidental. But I think that's the thing with bands anyway, generally. But I was an accidental singer. I was an accidental bass player. I accidentally met Steve O to accidental sort of night out with my accidental girlfriend. No, there's a lot of accidental things happen.
It worked out all right.
Talking of accidental Steve O,
Yeah.
there's a story that Steve O was representing both you and Soft Cell back in the day. And Phonogram wanted, I think, Soft Cell or you or one or the other, and Steve O said you can't have one without the other, and that's how you
you sort of buy one get one free, basically. No, because at the time they wanted the record company, the main record company, because Some Bizzare literally just formed, but it was Phonogram or Polygram or Phonogram, I think it was, I think we were signed to DRAM, which was Decca. It was kind of all confusing anyway. So we did this song called Remembrance Day, which was our first single for them, and Steve-O managed Soft Cell, this other band, and at the time, all the buzz was really about us. To be honest, it was like we were the band that was the record company were more interested in. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I think Steve-O insisted that in order to sign B Movie, then they had to have Soft Cell as well at the same time. I don't know how. I don't know. You'll have to ask him that stuff. But so that kind of led to this situation where I think, and I might be wrong here, but I think they were actually using our studio time.
Right.
When we, to record Tainted Love. So, it's kind of, it's all water under the bridge now, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah. How did you and Steve-O connect? How did you guys meet?
Well, we'd been sort of like playing gigs locally in the Mansfield area, Lincoln. We'd released a single, got a few bit of plays on the John Peel show, local independent label and stuff. It was kind of limited really to that part of the world, and I saw an ad in Sounds magazine for bands wanted to play the Chelsea drugstore, and there was send tape to Steve-O, this with an O, with a line through the O, like it's some Scandinavian thing. Anyway, I thought I had this image of him as some really cool kind of stylish DJ type, Steve Strange type. Anyway, I was going to send him a tape, but then I saw that he was billed to DJ at Cabaret Voltaire and the were playing a gig at Retford Porthouse, which is not far from us. So I went down there, and there was a guy literally lurking around the DJ area. quite a small guy, you know, looked more like he should be a boxer than a DJ, to be honest with you. And I kind of just, I thought, is that him? Yeah, I mean, obviously it must have been him. So at the end, as I was walking out, he was downstairs, and I just went up to him and I handed him a demo tape of some stuff that we'd done, and that was that. He's friendly, just, you know, and I went off, and then next day he phoned up my mum came up, she said, there's some cockney on the phone for you, you know, and I sort of like went down and picked up the phone, and it was him, and he said, thanks, I listened to the tape, I really like it. He said, it sounds like Hawkwind. He said, you should wear silver suits and furry boots. Do you want to play in London? I'd like to be a manager. And that was it, you know. That was the beginning of it. And we ended up playing at the Canning Town Bridge House to nobody, with Blancmange supporting us. These two very, very shy guys from up north who just put out an EP or stuff like that. They were very friendly, but they were never going to make it. So, you know, like Soft Cell, basically, we're never going to make it. We seem to have the kind of the Midas touch, you know. It's sort of like whenever anybody comes into contact with B-Movie, they become successful. Yeah, but never mind. Madonna, it's the same story. Madonna, I hate to say it, but yeah, she owes everything to B-Movie as well. So there we go.
This album here,
yeah,
was an epiphany album for both me and Andy. 1981. It's a brave album to put out because none of these bands were signed at the time, but like B-Movie were on it, Depeche Mode, the Soft Cell, Blancmange. It's a great compilation album. Did you have any idea at the time that it would go on to be so influential and revered?
No, not at all. There was a sense that there was something in the air. Things were sort of coalescing around this kind of futurist thing that Steve-O had. he did a futurist chart in sounds, and we'd find ourselves in there every week. And we'd done a sort of like a 2-dayer at the Hammersmith Clarendon with and DAF and Fad Gadget and a few others were playing there. It was quite busy, and there was Susie and the Banshees were there, and Ultravox. I remember that's my greatest moment in my life was when I was in the toilets and Billy Curry came in and stood right next to me, you know. I just looked at him and I just looked at him, absolutely, you know, gobsmacked that my absolute idol was right next to me. So I just said hello as we were having a wee together. But there we go. That's no.
Did you have any stage fright? Was there any stage fright there? Was it?
Yeah, stage fright. There was a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's funny where you actually end up imagining where you might meet your idols, but in a urinal was where I met my idol. But there we go. But yeah, in a urinal idol. Yeah, that's.
There you go. There's a new album. Yeah. We've chatted to Billy. As you say, he's a lovely guy. Absolutely lovely guy.
And I'll rock you to sleep in your house. We'll shut away your halo. Becomes yours. Your halo becomes yours. Hey,
I mean, there was that moment where I think in '85 you released "Forever Running on Sire," but then nothing really happened after that. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then there's like some one-off shows that started happening in 2004. So, well, what was the thing that started the sort of reconnect? Because there's quite a long, what was it, 19 years where I don't know if you guys were still talking. I've no idea, but it's a big gap before you kind of came back with stuff like, you know, the Age of Illusion and stuff.
Yeah.
So what started that? What was it?
I don't know, forgiveness, you know, these kind of time, you know, whatever, you know, it's cliche, it heals and stuff. I think also it coincided with, like, you know, the internet really, and the fact that, you know, we were able to connect with fans again from all over the world, and we were getting quite a lot of love coming back, actually. When are you going to play a gig? Are you ever going to do this again? And I always thought it was a little bit unfinished business, if I'm honest. I think, you know, there's a band we formed at school. It was, you know, it was us. It was our part of our lives. I'm talking really mainly me and Paul. Yeah. But it was like, he'd gone on, he did things with Pete Murphy, obviously, and stuff. But you know, and he became, and he is successful in his own right. But, you know, I think B-Movies doesn't just disappear out of your life. You can't just, you know, I think it was about friendship. It was about, and again, you know, mending broken relationships. I think originally when we initially sort of got back together again, there was just an enthusiasm about getting back on stage again and playing the old tunes. We didn't have any real notion about recording new stuff or new albums. It was just that one-off to begin with. I don't know, I suppose maybe I'd given up music, to be honest, for quite some time, and I think I kind of needed it back in my life again, you know. By
the way, I mean, that I've got to say, excuse me, it's fucking brilliant.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, cheers. Yeah,
and that one as well.
Yeah, and that one.
And that one as well. Yeah. Well, cheers. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it was great that we'd started to play live. We started to gig in Europe. We were doing quite a lot of shows in Spain and Germany and stuff, and we started to meet people, realizing that, you know, we were actually now part of this kind of dark wave scene, which I didn't really know a great deal about, but Nowhere Girl had become a bit of an anthem for that, you know. And so we do the Wave Gothic Treffen in Germany. We've headlined that twice now, you know, sort of, which is a, you know, major dark wave goth festival. No, I think we were not really goth as such, but, you know, Nowhere Girl is seen or is as an anthem for alienation or whatever, I don't know. But anyway, it became yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump a question, and then we'll come back to it. But as you're talking about Nowhere Girl, I mean, I bought this back in the day. If someone had said to me, where did that appear in the charts? I'd have said top 10, because you know, it's a classic 80s song from that period of time. Yeah. It still sounds brilliant today. I was surprised that it only reached number 67, because I've got it, Andy's got it, all my friends at the time, we all had it. It was a massive song. I can't believe it only got to number 67 in the charts.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we were a bit surprised as well, to be honest with you. It's a difficult one when I think about that song, because we initially released it, recorded it. It was a single. It came out on a 12-inch EP that we put out on Dead Good Records, and then we recorded it again for a Richard Skinner session for Radio 1 in early '81. But the record label wanted Remembrance Day as our first single, and that did a lot better than we expected. And kind of, you know, Peel played it. It was in his Festis 50. And it was it kind of crossed over you know, sort of like Raincoat Brigade, Student Brigade, or, you know, sort of all that. Joy Division fans liked it, as well as, you know, I think then we got a little bit wrapped up in the whole Duran Duran thing a little bit, because we supported them, and I think that there was this sort of like move away from that a bit, and towards something a bit poppier, and kind of maybe we went a bit over the top with it. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know whether it's too poppy, but you know, we might have kept it a bit more in the vein of Remembrance Day. It might have kept the Raincoat Brigade happy. I don't know. I you know, the Echo and the Bunnymen fans might have liked it a bit more. Sure. But so we went for that. I mean, as well, Ultravox had changed. You know, Midge joined the band. You know, they were very influential. It was, and technology was sort of like really now. All our contemporaries, obviously, you know, you can't ignore Soft Cell. They had this massive hit. Depeche Mode were big. Everybody was using synths and stuff, and we were kind of, you know, we were a little bit like someone said, plaster ducks on a high tech wall. You know, we used synths, but our keyboard player could play, you know, and it was like we were using analog synths, but you know, we had a live rock band feel, you know. So I think Nowhere Girl was kind of fell a bit between two stools, if I'm honest. And I think, you know, it didn't quite connect in the way that it might have done. And also, you know, it's all water under the bridge, but perhaps, you know, if it had come out 6 months earlier, it might have made a lot more difference as well. It came out in March '82. If it had come out in, you know, sort of summer '81 or whatever, it might have been a different story. Yeah. I don't know, but it's weird, isn't it? Because the actual song has stood the test of time, and maybe it's the fact that it wasn't a big hit has actually kept it as people's cult classic song that they like to.
You mentioned John Peel, the legend. I mean, he was a massive fan of you guys. Did you ever get to meet him?
No, we didn't. No.
I know he was a big fan of yours, which was great. I mean,
yeah. Right from the word go, really. He was playing Take 3 EP, and the second EP, which I mentioned there, was he played that. He played Remembrance Day. We did the session for him, which was repeated. I think perhaps we needed a bit more firm management, if I might say that, at the time. You know, it's kind of easy to be self-critical, but you know, maybe just sort of like decision making. Steve was 17 and I was 19. You know, we're lads. You know, basically. I mean, it might have been a mature head to say, look, right, this is the plan. You know, let's keep it with Mike Thorne. Let's just keep the style that we were doing. As I think at the end of the day, we wanted to make an album. That was our main thing, really. You know?
Totally.
No matter how I try to pry the icy shell from you, you stare at me and glare with cold eyes. We stand together in the barren wilderness, naked and white as a cloud, and it's like making love to a beautiful.
I know we spoke about this before we started pressing the record button, but I mean, Mark mentioned we spoke to Mark Full Dice from The Mood. Yeah, very similar story where all his masters were in the Universal Vault for decades.
Yeah.
What was it like for you getting all that original material back in your hands?
Oh yeah, amazing. I mean, it's you know, going back to the mid '80s, we've been, you know, been talking about getting some kind of best of album of that era together. It has finally arrived, and the songs on it are obviously, you've got the three singles, as you could say, classic singles from Some Bizzare, but there's like the other tracks are not never before been released. They were songs which we would have been in contention to be on the album had we recorded the album at the time. I can remember the session where we did those songs, and I'm thinking, I was waiting to get the green light once those songs had been sent to the record company. Right, this is studio's booked. Next week we're going to go and we're going to do this, but it never came. And I can remember being quite surprised actually that we never got that thumbs up from it. Again, I don't know if you've heard it, but it's quite a rocky, raw kind of sounding thing, and maybe that wasn't where they had in mind for us to go. I don't know. Maybe they wanted us to go a bit more pop. But anyway, there we go.
Steve, I've got a question which is kind of like a two-parter, really. I mean, the bulk of your great songs like Marilyn Dreams and Nowhere Girl and Remembrance Day came out around 81, 82, that sort of period of time. But you released an album as such, Forever Running, in 1985. I mean, why was an album never released? Because, I mean, I remember that, reading the music mags and everything. I mean, B-Movie were always kind of like the band that were touted to be the big band of the era.
Yeah, I was just looking at that today, that there was some of Seymour Stein from Sire Records. It was a couple of years since he passed, but, he gave B-Movie that break in 84. I think it was 85 or 84, 83. That's it. Okay, I got lost in time, but we did a tour of America, and we didn't have a record label then. It all ended with Steve-O and all that, and Decca and everything, and so we were sort of high and dry. But Nowhere Girl had become a college radio hit, also dance in the clubs as well, particularly in California. So we went over there for a second tour, and unfortunately, Rick and Graham were no longer with us, and it was a sort of, but we were continuing, Paul and myself, we were continuing with it. And we played the Ritz in New York, and after the show, Seymour Stein came up afterwards and said, let's have a chat. And he offered us a deal, so he gave us a chance, he gave us a break, and he was quite a visionary. He sort of saw things 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone else. Not saying, but with us, it was like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to fuse, your English melodic pop with New York breakbeats. So you're going to be produced by Jelly Bean, and it was like, what, So it was because that was where I'm with Roger. He obviously works with New Order quite a lot, but that's where sort of New Order had gone, with Blue Monday and things like that, and Arthur Baker, and we tried to get Arthur Baker to do our stuff, but he didn't work for some reason. But we were signed to a New York record label. The whole idea was to go down that route, and so we end up with Jelly Bean. We recorded A Letter from Afar, Abbey Road, with him. I think we were relevant again, because I think that was where we were going. Again, it was one of those annoying situations where, things just dragged on. I think it took quite some time before we actually got round to actually making that album, and it was fraught with difficulties. It's just actually 40 years since it came out. I haven't been able to listen to it for about 40 years, to be honest, but I've just started to re-listen and now kind of made peace with it. B-Movie, the original lineup, should have made an album, definitely, you know, around 81, 82. That would have been, you know, the definitive B-Movie album. Then we could have developed further.
We can't wait to get our hands on because the debut album, which sounds so strange after knowing you guys for so long. You must feel you've obviously been an incredible emotional roller coaster, but there must be a sense of satisfaction that it's finally coming out, right?
Oh yeah. That's incredible sense of satisfaction. I can't wait, really. I mean, you know, it's
you're not the only one.
Yeah, it's just been a long journey, like I said, and I think the band deserve it, really. I mean, we did rub shoulders, obviously, with all the great and good of the time, you know, all the contemporaries, and we didn't, you know, obviously we were the band that never quite crossed over from that Some Bizzare album. We were sort of nearly there, you know. I'm not saying that this is going to, obviously we're not looking at that side of things these days, but it's just the kind of way that this is maybe what you might have been missing if you'd have actually sort of like, you know, if we'd have got a few of the breaks at the time. So yeah.
So Steve, Hidden Treasures is coming out, and you acquired all the master tapes after 40 years, and you went back, remastered them. I mean, how was that process? How was the process with the acquisition? Was it an easy thing to do? Repairing? Did you have to bake the tapes because they were so old to actually get digital stems off of it? And was there stuff that you found on the tapes that you'd forgotten about?
Yeah. Hang on, Mark. Roger. Sorry, Roger. Not here. I was just saying Roger will be able to tell you more about it than I will. He was the guy who did it all. You know, he did it all. So I didn't have anything to do with the actual that process of that. So yeah, but yeah.
Was there songs on there that you'd kind of forgotten about, or mixes on there you'd forgotten about that?
Yeah, I remember doing. We did a kind of a session around just when Remembrance Day came out at a studio called Stanhope Place. We did a song called Ice there, which I think was being lined up as being our next single. We had this idea that we were going to do Ice and Polar Opposites as a double A side with this kind of icy kind of cold vibe going on, and that was the plan. So that one, those songs were found, and then we did another session in Ragby Studios in where we recorded all the early demos and singles, and that was a kind of, I think that was pretty much those are live takes of those songs. They were basically live takes. And then there was another one. There's two Stanhope Place sessions. Crowds came from the second one. We knew that these recordings existed of those demos, but we weren't sure whether they still existed. And then we found out that they were there. Yeah, Andy Woods, as I said, he's been amazing. He's been the one who's really been instrumental in really putting all this together, and with Roger Lyons here, assembling the songs, baking the songs, repairing them, and I think Roger's just done an incredible job because they were in quite a state, unlistenable, really. It's hats off to him, really, more than anything else.
So you're also playing some live dates to kind of promote it around about the same time. I mean, I saw you playing the Dome in London, which 31st of May, which we'll try and get down to.
Nice one. Yeah. The Dome. We're doing a Rebellion in Manchester on the 30. That's the first one. 30th. Was it the 31st? I think it's anyway, end of May. And then we're playing in Brighton at the Prince Albert, which is always good. Yeah, we'll be playing a few of the songs off the new album as well. And can't wait. Yeah, can't wait.
Brilliant stuff. Really looking forward to it. I mean, it's long overdue, and it'd be interesting to listen to Roger's handiwork and see how he polished them all up and repaired them.
You've not heard any of it? Have you?
I heard the original versions, but I haven't heard any of the new versions.
Yeah. It's a shame he's not here, but I'm just going to see if he's here. Just one second.
Getting tired of all these pointless conversations, so I seek sanctuary far away from the crowd. So I seek sanctuary far away from the crowd.
Just as Roger was enjoying himself, he got dragged away to answer these questions.
Right. What can I say?
Roger, it was just a quick question which we asked Steve, and he said you were the best man to answer. About the acquisition of the tapes and the state that they came back in, and the whole process about did you need to bake the tapes because they were so old, and how difficult was it to repair? What sort of condition were they in? How easy was the remaster?
Right, so I didn't bake the tapes personally, but Andy Wood's manager, he got the tapes back, got them baked, then got them transferred, and then gave the parts to me. So most of the masters were absolutely fine, but there was one really problematic reel of tape that was so full of edits. I think I counted about 75 edits. Every time one would go past, the editing tape would come off. So I had to literally do 75 edits on a piece of tape, and then it was the wrong version. Once we got it, it was like, Andy, there you go, it's done. Oh, no, that's not the right one. So what I think I'd actually done was reassembled all the bits that had been thrown away from another remix. It was quite funny. Anyway, so the stuff from Rugby that I mixed was just really, really badly recorded.
Gotcha.
Really was. It was like buzz on everything, loads of crosstalk and a lot of hiss on things. And it was all, Andy played, he sent the parts, loaded it up, and I just went, oh God, what am I going to do with this? Because it was like no bottom end on anything. Yeah. And it was a proper dog's dinner. And I really, I had my work cut out with it. But as soon as I sort of processed a few things on it, it's like, right, okay, I can bring this back. And then I just attacked it with gusto and really happy with the results. But the tape was it wasn't actually the tape that was bad. It was the way it'd been recorded. And I think it's further complicated by, I think they'd used some kind of weird noise reduction system on the 24 track that doesn't exist anymore. So then, it's all sort of, they sort of emphasise the top end, get rid of the bottom end, and you've got to find a way of bringing all that back in, So I've done lots of that kind of thing in the past. So I really enjoyed doing it. I went from hating it because I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do anything to this, and I sort of turned a corner with it, and then it's like, oh, this is going to be really good, and it turned out great. I think.
I'll wait to hear it.
Really happy with the mixes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Mate, thank you for that. we can't wait to hear it. We really can't.
Good.
Really
I shall hand you back over.
Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
A table for four, including your good self. Who would you invite for dinner?
Oh my God. Oh, live or dead? I mean,
live or dead.
Live or dead? Wow. Yeah. So, God blimey, that's a good question, isn't it? So, in the music world, well, I probably would have to you know, I'd have to go with my idols, I suppose. So I think it'd be quite fun to have, you know, John Fox there. I think I've always wanted to meet him. I've never met him. He's one on my bucket list. To be honest, I mean, Bowie.
Yeah,
obvious, really. But you know, probably someone like Salvador Dali.
Yeah,
love that.
a bit of surrealism in there.
Yeah, like that.
And then you'd have Billy carrying urinal so that when you get up from the table, you can have a chat.
Yeah, it would all be. That could be a new game show, couldn't it? You know, sort of like urinal idol. Yeah, yeah, maybe not. Yeah, yeah.
And the other one to get the brain cells ticking over, what would be your Desert Island disc?
Ha 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 by Ultravox. I think I stated that the other day. I think it's a work of complete utter genius, and I you know, I think that's the finest work that they did as a band. I can't. I love that album. It's got so many great memories, but so much light and shade and madness, and at the same time it's mellow and beautiful. So I mean, that would be it probably.
Yeah. Mate, that's great shout. Great shout. Hey, listen, mate, thank you so much for this. We really wish the album nothing but success. It's what it deserves. So you've got 2 sales straight away. So, but honestly, we've loved your music for years, and you know it's been brilliant, and it's been an absolute joy to talk to you, buddy.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks a lot. Yeah,
thanks mate. We look forward to it, and we hopefully we'll see you at the Dome, and we can have a beer.
Nice one. Definitely. Yeah, sounds great. Amazing. All right.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers. Bye.